Hey there, fellow listeners. Welcome back to Red Hunt, where I, Red, delve into the captivating and sometimes heart-wrenching relationship stories shared on Reddit. Sit back, relax, and get ready to dive into the roller coaster of emotions as we explore the depths of subscribe button below. My boyfriend keeps 3 bottles down the side of his bed to pee in. How should I respond? I am a 20-year-old woman, and I have been in a relationship with my boyfriend for over a year. We are both currently attending university. A week ago, I was staying the night at his house, something I do quite often. Normally, I am a heavy sleeper while he occasionally struggles. However, on this particular night, I suddenly woke up to what sounded like running water. It took me a few seconds to gather my thoughts, and when I turned around, I noticed that my boyfriend was facing away from me. I sat up slightly and realized that he was urinating into a plastic bottle. Initially, I was quite startled and blurted out, "What on earth are you doing?" I wish I had reacted more calmly, but I was genuinely shocked. At first, he tried to downplay it, saying that the bathroom was occupied by one of his housemates and he was desperate. I wasn't entirely convinced, so I looked underneath his bed and found 2 more bottles filled with urine. I confronted him again, and this time, he admitted that he has been doing this for years. Apparently, he keeps the bottles underneath the bed on one side and uses them when he needs to go while trying to sleep. According to him, he finds it incredibly difficult to get out of bed and go to the bathroom during these moments, and it often results in him being unable to fall back asleep as he just stares into space for hours. He mentioned that he cleans out the bottles every morning when he is alone. To me, this behavior is extremely disgusting, and I cannot fathom how he views it as acceptable. Yes, nobody likes having to leave the comfort of their bed to use the bathroom, but resorting to using bottles is just beyond me. The fact that he does this while I am lying right next to him makes it even more repulsive. The thing is, aside from this bizarre habit, he is an otherwise clean and well-groomed person who takes care of himself. In fact, that's one of the things that initially attracted me to him. He is a genuinely lovely person, and I truly love him. The revelation of this behavior has completely caught me off guard, and I'm at a loss for how to react. What should I do? It's understandable that you're feeling grossed out by your boyfriend's habit of peeing in bottles while you're sleeping next to him. It's important to communicate your concerns and boundaries with him, explaining how uncomfortable it makes you feel. If his insomnia is causing him genuine difficulty, it might be a good idea for him to seek professional help or explore alternative solutions with a doctor. My BF told me that if he would need to choose, he would rather choose his best friend after being together for a year. I met my boyfriend a year ago, and we started off as friends. Eventually, he began flirting with me, so I directly expressed my desire for a serious relationship leading to marriage and a family. He expressed that he shared the same feelings towards me. Despite recognizing that there might be certain immature aspects due to his younger age, I chose to overlook them. However, I did notice one red flag. He greatly valued the opinion of a 32-year-old friend of his. I had met this friend twice, and on occasion, he would make jokes or criticize his girlfriend in front of others. I told my boyfriend that this behavior was not normal to me, but he dismissed it as harmless joking. One time, when the 4 of us were together, my boyfriend tried to make a humorous insult towards me in front of them. I firmly told him never to do that again. Fortunately, he has never made fun of me in front of anyone else. I am currently living in Italy for my master's degree, and my boyfriend asked if this friend and his girlfriend could come stay at my place for Christmas. I agreed. When they arrived, they disregarded our desire to visit more places and instead focused on where they wanted to go. My sister also joined us, but they didn't seem to care. During our visit to Florence, they decided they just wanted to drink beer, and my boyfriend chose to stay with them while I spent the whole day with my sister. I expressed to my boyfriend that I didn't appreciate this behavior, feeling like I was being treated as a free hotel. In response, he dismissed my concerns and accused me of having a mental problem. This ruined my mood, and I no longer wanted to talk to him or his friends. They made the decisions about when to go home, and when I mentioned it would be nice to stay longer, my boyfriend told me to take a train. Additionally, his friend felt entitled to talk and shout at me like he does with his girlfriend. I made it clear that I was not okay with this, but he blamed my unhappiness for his behavior, claiming I was making my boyfriend unhappy with my moods. Upon returning home, I was struggling with all of this and decided to seek support from my friends. My boyfriend chose to stay with his friends and ignored my feelings. The next day, I confronted him about his friend's disrespectful treatment towards me. They had a discussion, but both came back informing me that I was crazy to expect an apology. My boyfriend just stood there, not defending me or taking any action against his friend. On Christmas Eve, they left my house, completely ruining the holiday. I spoke with my boyfriend again, expressing my frustrations with his friend's behavior and his lack of support for me in my own home. During our intense conversation, my boyfriend admitted that his friend had done a lot for him, and if forced to choose, he would prioritize his friend over me. As a result, we decided to break up, and he left. It has been 3 weeks since we last spoke, and my boyfriend reached out to me, acknowledging that his friend was indeed rude to me. He also admitted that he didn't take our relationship seriously enough, disregarding my boundaries and feelings because he prioritized having fun with his friends. However, he needs time to think about what he truly wants. Apparently, his friend has been causing conflicts with everyone else, believing himself to be superior. My friends and family believe I should run from this situation, convinced that it won't change. They think that even if it's not this friend, another person will always come first for my boyfriend. My dad even questions whether my boyfriend loves me. I'm unsure of what to do. I still love him and miss him, but logically I understand that this may not lead anywhere positive. It sounds like you've had some serious red flags with your boyfriend and his friend. It's concerning that your boyfriend didn't prioritize your feelings and allowed his friend to treat you poorly. It's understandable that you're conflicted because you love him, but it seems like your family and friends are right in advising you to move on, as this might not change and another friend could easily become a priority over you. Trust your instincts and prioritize your own happiness. I feels like a hostage in a relationship with my boyfriend. He refuses to let me end our relationship and uses our child as a reason not to. I started dating my boyfriend my junior year in college. We met online, and he lived an hour away from me at the time, but we made it work. Things moved really fast, partly due to me not knowing how to simply date and not rush things. He was upfront with me about having troubles with addiction in the past, and I decided to look past that not knowing the consequences. He used to sleep over my apartment whenever he had the chance, and he had severe sleeping problems. He would cry, and I would try to comfort him and sometimes drive him around because I felt so bad. I used to see him drink this green mixture, but I had no idea at the time what it was, but I would eventually find out that's its kratom. Maybe a month later of him coming over and dealing with his sleeping issues, I would see him use kratom and drink alcohol every night to fall asleep. I eventually told him I am not okay with that around me. One night he tried to go without it, and apparently when I went to sleep, he took my car to go buy alcohol. After he was completely hammered, he decided this was not enough, so he drove while under the influence to his place in my car trying to get kratom, only to be pulled over and arrested for a DUI. I did not take this as a warning sign and I stupidly forgave him. I am in the military, reserves, and about 6 months into our relationship I got the opportunity to work full-time at my unit, so I jumped on the opportunity because I am a struggling college student. I moved in with my sister because she lived closer to my unit, and I did not know how long I would be working there, so I kept my apartment just in case. He would come visit me there and then I also found out he was doing steroids. I again did not take it as a sign to see that's not what I wanted to be around. My birthday rolls around and I can't remember what we got irritated with each other about, but he completely went off on me and I felt like he was trying to ruin my day, but he ended up apologizing and we moved on. 8 months into our relationship, I found out I was pregnant. We were both excited and nervous. I had my doubts, but I was like I can't terminate it. I am pro-choice, but when I was put into that situation, I just could not make that decision to end my pregnancy. During my pregnancy, we would have the discussion of how childcare would work, and I let him know that I will not be putting my child in daycare until he is able to communicate. We had plenty of arguments about it and his family said they would help, which turned out to be a complete lie. 3 months before I delivered, I left the full-time position at my unit, and we got a place together in his city because he was convinced he would be able to make more money than me there, which turned out to be not true, because I spent the most money since I was making more than him at the time when I was working at my unit. At 30 weeks pregnant, I got a full-time job to help out with the bills and 8 weeks later, my water broke while I was at work. I ended up having a C-section, so it was a really hard recovery on me. The day I delivered, his mom came to visit from 8 hours away, and that would be my first time meeting her. I began to grow bitter because she hardly acknowledged me in my hospital room and went straight to my baby. Night 1 into the hospital, I did not want my baby to go to the nursery, and I needed help with getting the baby from the crib, and he literally yelled at me for about 5 minutes because he said I need to let the baby go to the nursery. The day I went home, his aunt and cousin visited and spent hours just holding my baby, still not acknowledging me as I am shuffling around the apartment in my pain. My family was there. They also drove 8 hours to see me. The whole time my family was there, they helped me with cooking and cleaning. They helped me get around. The first night we were home, he yelled at me again. This time it escalated to him getting in my face and slamming the door because I asked him to quiet down while watching football. This was all in front of my family, and I was so embarrassed. He did not help me much during postpartum, to make it short, which caused problems in the relationship, but I tried to make it work for our child. Fast forward 8 months later, he is still having sleep issues and I was back at work. I was trying to get some rest before I had to be up at 4 a.m. and I was still getting up to take care of our child while he slept in the living room. He was being loud and not only waking me up, but the baby, so I grew frustrated and I yelled at him about it. He ended up attacking me and I had to call for help. I went months of going back and forth wanting things to work, but I finally grew some brain cells and moved 8 hours to my mom without telling him, and I tried ending things. While I got here and he refuses to let me go. I am waiting to go active duty. I decided to go active from our financial issues, and he is now careless because his car stopped working, so he has a hard time getting to work. And he thinks I messed up for leaving him with the bills and no way to jet to work, but I am at my Would you help him or just keep pushing? I'm really sorry to hear about everything you've been through in this relationship. It sounds like you've given him many chances, but he hasn't shown much effort to change or support you. It's important for your own well-being and the well-being of your child to prioritize your own happiness and safety. If you feel like you've reached your breaking point, it may be time to consider moving on and focusing on your own future. You deserve to be with someone who respects and supports you. Is my BF controlling? My boyfriend and I recently had a baby who has faced several health issues. It requires more effort than a typical newborn. After the baby was discharged from the hospital, I had to return to work because I had just started a new job. It's frustrating because I genuinely want to be with my baby, but we also need the extra income. Currently, our routine involves me going to work while he drops the baby off at childcare. I pick up the baby and come home, while he arrives about 2 hours later and immediately starts using his computer. Normally this wouldn't bother me, but the lack of sleep is catching up to me. Although my job isn't as physically demanding as his, I still have work to do, take care of household chores and attend to the baby. I also wake up multiple times during the night to care for the baby and still wake up earlier to prepare the baby for the day. He does help, but I definitely take on more responsibilities. In his perspective, he feels he has fulfilled his part by working his exhausting and stressful job while paying the bills. When he gets home, all he wants is to relax. I tell him it's okay to do what he wants, but now I wonder about myself. Some nights, I enjoy winding down with a glass of wine. In the past, before the baby, I would occasionally use cannabis after work. However, I stopped doing that when we decided to start a family since he believes it's wrong. So I increased my wine consumption instead. I want to clarify that I never get drunk or act irresponsibly. I still fulfill all my duties. However, he doesn't approve of it and wishes I would find healthier alternatives. I suggested that he takes care of the baby so I can go to the gym, but he refuses to let me go alone, claiming he is too tired to join me. He thinks any substance use is pathetic. I'm tired of his constant complaints about my choices. If I want a few glasses of wine a week, I should be able to have them. Additionally, he occasionally makes joking comments suggesting that I'm not clean, despite the fact that I do 90% of the cleaning around the house to the best of my ability. Interestingly, I may even accomplish more cleaning when I have my wine because it puts me in a better mood. When I ask him for help while he's in the middle of a game, I must wait until he finishes before he assists me. In my opinion, that's not how parenting works. When the baby needs something, you drop what you're doing to attend to them. This behavior frustrates me. Instead of nagging him, I would rather have my wine to remind myself that it's just how he is. However, I can't do that without being labeled an alcoholic. I nearly forgot to mention that he refuses to have sex with me because I'm not on birth control, and he doesn't want to use condoms. He doesn't want to risk having another baby right now. So that's another way I cannot relax. We recently had a fight about his lack of help with the baby. I told him that if he isn't ready to be a father, I can leave and go back to my parents' house, where I can take care of our sick baby without having to work. Naturally, this upset him. I'm at a loss of how to talk to him or enjoy the things I want. I'm considering going to my parents' house. What should I do? It sounds like you're really overwhelmed and frustrated with the imbalance of responsibilities in your relationship. It's understandable that you want to wind down and find ways to relax after a long day of work and taking care of the baby. Have you tried having a calm, open conversation with him about how you're feeling and the need for more support? It might be helpful to find a compromise and create a schedule that allows both of you to have some downtime while still taking care of your baby together. Am I the antagonist for saying my friend was overreacting about feeling unsafe? I am a 15-year-old girl with a scholarship to a private school that would cost £120 if I didn't have it. I have a group of 6 close friends who are all 14 or 15-year-old girls. They come from various economic backgrounds, ranging from regular middle class to very wealthy. We sometimes have sleepovers at each other's houses, but I have yet to host one. Here's the issue. I live in a council house, which means I don't have to pay for it, in a lower-class neighborhood that's known for crime, burglaries, robberies, fights, etc. My friends are aware of my financial situation, but it has never affected our friendship until now. We made plans to stay at my place for the weekend and went straight there after school. On the way, one of my friends kept commenting on how intimidating the people in my area were, and the others agreed. They even referred to a homeless man who approached us asking for money as creepy and perverted. As we walked, a group of teenagers started harassing and yelling at us, trying to start an argument. When they left, my friends called them trashy and used a derogatory term for lower-class people. I had previously shared with them the difficulties of living in my neighborhood, including incidents of vandalism and the need to hide valuables in case of a break-in. I live in a small 2-bedroom flat on the first floor. The bedroom I have is tiny, with my bed fitting snugly at one end. I sleep on a mattress on the floor and have a storage box as the only other furniture. When my friends saw this, they sarcastically commented on how cozy and tiny it was. After about an hour, one of my friends called her parents to pick her up, making an excuse about a family engagement she had forgotten. I initially believed her, but then another friend said she needed to leave because she was feeling sick. I became suspicious, and eventually, they confessed that they felt unsafe staying over in my neighborhood and wanted to leave. One friend expressed concern about my house feeling dangerous since my mom was working a late shift and wouldn't be home until midnight. She was worried that someone might break in. However, I found this irrational because I had lived here all my life without any issues. It frustrated me that she, being the wealthiest among us, couldn't understand what it was like to lack privileges. While I understood that she had a bad experience in a poor neighborhood a few years ago, we were planning to stay indoors, so there was no reason for her to overreact. I told her she was being overdramatic, but the rest of my friends sided with her, claiming she was justified in feeling unsafe. I couldn't handle the way they made me feel alienated because of my financial situation, and it bothered me that they couldn't empathize with my circumstances for just one weekend. In the heat of the moment, I referred to my friends as spoiled brats, which escalated into a big argument, ultimately leading to the cancellation of the sleepover. Am I the asshole in this situation? Your friends were incredibly insensitive and judgmental towards you and your neighborhood. It's disappointing to see them prioritize their own comfort over your feelings. It's understandable that you would be hurt by their behavior and feel the need to defend yourself. Am I the antagonist for telling my stepdad it's not my job to take over for his oldest daughter with his youngest? My mom married Kevin almost 3 years ago. Kevin has 2 daughters with his ex-wife. He has Mandy, who is 15 years old, and Freya, who is 8 years old. I am 16 years old and I am mom's daughter. Mandy doesn't really like anyone except her 2 best friends. She isn't close to either of her parents and she isn't close to Freya at all. In fact, she resents her deeply and maybe even hates her. She has said she hates her in the past, but I can't say for sure if it's true or not. When I first met them, I always tried my best to be nice to Freya and not treat her like Mandy did. I didn't really feel like, yay, a sister. Instead, I viewed us as step-siblings and felt that we needed to be able to be in the same room if possible. However, Freya desperately wanted a sisterly bond and connection. Ever since then, she has latched onto me because Mandy either ignores her completely or is mean to her and tries to make her cry. Both my stepsisters live here with us more than they do with their mom. Their mom seems absent most of the time, but I don't have many details about it. I have talked to my mom a few times about not wanting to take on the role of being Freya's sister all the time, having to be with her 24/7. My mom assured me that she doesn't expect that from me, and as long as I'm kind to Freya, I'm doing the right thing. However, Freya wants more from me. She wants to hang out, play dolls, dress up, and have sleepovers. I don't want to do all of that as much as she does. I don't mind occasionally sitting and watching a movie together, but I don't want it to be every weekend or every Friday. I don't mind if she tags along with me to the store when I'm going for snacks, but not all the time, especially not when I'm with my friends. Kevin and my mom have been arguing about this issue. My mom believes it's not my responsibility to babysit Freya, while Kevin insists that we are either a family or we're not. He has spoken to me about how much Freya needs me since Mandy isn't interested in her and is acting like a typical moody teenager. He told me that Freya isn't opening up to her therapist either, and he has tried switching therapists. He believes this might be a long-term problem, and he expects me to step up so that Freya doesn't feel like both of her sisters hate her. I told him that it's not my responsibility to replace Mandy with Freya, and while I don't mind being nice to her, I don't want her to tag along with me all the time or as often as she wants to. I explained that I don't want to have to prioritize spending time with her over my friends or bring her along when I hang out with them. He acknowledged that my mom thinks my feelings are fair, but he believes I am showing that Freya isn't my real sister and he expects more from me. So, am I the asshole? It's not your responsibility to take on the role of a parent or sibling to Freya just because Mandy isn't interested in her. You should still be kind to her, but you have the right to set boundaries and prioritize your own social life. It's unfair for Kevin to expect you to fill a void that isn't your responsibility in the first place. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.